I wanted to go over Poncho versus Cloak. Why would you want one instead of the other? How they can kind of work, not really in tandem. Don't bring both to the field. Sorry, I'm not going to do the sales pitch of you need both. But they both have different pros and cons to them. Well, first, let's talk about how they're the same. They're made out of the same material, so you're going to get the same thermal delay, warmth, a little bit of water resistance, and the coloration. You're getting all that out of each. I did want to mention the cloaks for now will not be eligible for the grommet upgrade. So we're not going to be adding any of the grommets or tie outs or anything to the cloaks. So let's start with the poncho. I am going to put it on, so it might be scratchy and it might mess with the audio. We're going to find out. But yeah, let's throw on a poncho. All right, so for the poncho, a little bit of the differences is that for me, it's easier to get on and off. You just throw it on over your head and you're done. You don't have to mess with the clasp. For me also, it actually has a little bit more coverage. Like it doesn't go as far down around my knees, but it covers my body more than a cloak. And you would think, oh, the cloak has more coverage. In my experience, as the videos you could see, that's not necessarily the case. I've always wanted a garment that, while rucking in the cold, if you stop for water, you stop for a meal, you stop for a break, that cold sets in because you just stopped. It's really easy to throw this on. There are other layers that you could throw on and off. For me, it's always, a lot of the times you either have to buy the garment super oversized so it fits over your plate carrier and your chest rig, or you have to take off all of your gear to put it on underneath and then put your gear back on. And it's like, well, half the break is gone at that point. Whereas with the poncho, even if you are wearing a rucksack, you may not want to wear it over the rucksack all the time. But if you're like in a hurry and you're trying to go, just put it on over the rucksack. At least you're getting some warmth covering you, holding that heat in, and you can keep trucking. I like to do my pockets on the outside, and that's mainly for photos and videos so people can see what I'm talking about. But the most popular option by far is putting the pocket on the inside. And to be honest, that's probably the way to go. It is going to keep your arms covered and warmer. So when it's actually cold, when you would actually want to wear this thing, it's going to keep you warmer. So the ponchos for me is a little bit more versatile as well. You can wear it under your kit pretty easily. Put it on and then throw your chest rig on. You might have to loosen the straps just a hair because it is an extra layer underneath. And then if you wanted to wear it over your gear, under your gear, you have a lot of options in that regard. Whereas the cloak is always open in the front and it doesn't really matter what you do with your gear. You can still wear a rucksack over the cloak, kind of like what Frodo and Sam do on their way to Mordor. They're wearing their backpacks over their cloaks. You could still totally do that. The cloaks are big enough to wear plates and stuff like that underneath, just like the ponchos are. All right, let's put on the cloak now. So to me, the cloak is a little bit, it takes a little bit more to get on than the poncho, although I'm making it seem pretty easy right now. And boom, you're done. So the cloak, we kind of went over a little bit of the differences while I was talking about the poncho. While it does cover up your body significantly from top to bottom, it doesn't cover your chest, which, like I said, it's designed for that, so we can get to our chest mounted stuff. I have a plate carrier here. I'll put it on in a second and I'll kind of show you what I'm talking about. Personally, I feel like the cloak is more of a garment. Like if you put it on, you keep it on until you take it off. You're venting heat out the front. Even if you're wearing a plate carrier, you're still venting a lot more heat out the front than a poncho. Although with the poncho, like I said, it's very versatile. You could just flip that front open and then you're dumping all that heat out the front. Let's see if I can do this without hitting the microphone too bad. You can kind of throw it over your shoulders, Aragorn style. That's what I like to call it. And then that way you have even more room for your hands and your arms, and you're venting a little bit more of that heat. But if you think about it, what coverage do you have against, for thermal delay or weather resistance, wind resistance? Not much. It looks cool, and that's about it. All right, I got my plates on. And remember, I'm just a civilian, so I don't really have a job. I just wear the plate carrier because it's cool. So the issue I have with wearing the cloak over a plate carrier is that either, if you wear your plate carrier at the right height, the cloak is going to be in your neck a little bit, which for walking around and stuff really isn't that bad. But if you do start shooting, you're wearing your rifle and you start picking it up, see how it picks up my arms and it'll go directly into your neck. Another reason why I didn't want a side release buckle is because that's a lot more material up in your neck. So that's why I went with the G-hook. You can, because the webbing is adjustable, you can wear it over your plate carrier, bring it down over the plates, and that's okay. But as soon as you lift up your rifle, lift up your arms, you're taking it back into your neck regardless anyway. What I have found the best, let me see if I can weave it in without disturbing the microphone too much, is actually hooking it on the inside of your plate carrier. And like I said, the cloak to me is you put it on and it stays on. So if you're hooking it, you're clasping it behind your plate carrier, it's not moving when you're lifting your arms over your rifle. It's staying on there. It's kind of genius. So it's always on. You always have the drip. You always have that warmth, that thermal delay, and you always have ready access to your hood. So, yeah.